Skateboarding was always really in my blood. I always felt like a skateboarder even if I wasn't doing it.
It just changed our lives.
We go to gigs together, we played in bands together, and we go skating together.
Well, we were teenagers, it's your formative years.
I always loved skateboarding, and I always will. I think as long as I live, if I can get on my feet, I can never rule out jumping on a board. But we grew up in Kendal, and Kendal wasn't Skate City or Watergate Bay, and it wasn't the smooth streets and the warm weather of California either. All the iconic skate places you saw that were like skate utopias to you in the magazines just seemed like places you could never ever get to. I watched the evolution of skateboarding from its very beginnings, from when it was just a roller skate on the bottom of a piece of wood with little clay wheels, then evolving into polypropylene decks that had urethane wheels, and urethane was a compound that gripped better, so via that the skate parks happened and transitions. I was fortunate enough to get to a lot of the iconic skate places, mainly with going down south with Philip Atkinson and the Atkinson family to Hollywell Bay and Cornwall, and when I was down there meeting Steve Martin, who lived in Milton Keynes, who invited me to stay with him and his parents, and then we went to a lot of these places from there, but that's a whole other story.
Kevin's a bit older than us, and he'd been skating since the 70s. I think when I was 15, he was 24, which, you know, when you're 15, 24 is old. We thought of him as the old man of, you know, Kendal skateboarding.
So the second generation of skateboarding to me started when I got a letter off Steve Martin in 1987 saying, get back on your board. And I went down again to see him, and we hit a lot of the old skate places and, you know, had fun. But then up north I was on my own, and I was skating place on my own. One time I was going to Barrow, skate ramp, and I saw a group of young lads skating, and I just stopped the car and said, if you want to come, you can come with me, you know, you're welcome to come. And they all jumped in, and that was Hodgie, Potty, Chaz, Chogsy. They were like the nucleus. There were some other people, they were the nucleus, and we became friends then and remained friends for life. Yeah, road trips were the thing for me. Just get in the car, blast out to some old rootsy skate places. Most of those trips really revolved around myself and Steve Martin, and then whoever else we could get to come with us. My favourite days out in those days were what I called a Nebworth Stevenage day, where we'd hit Nebworth for about 4 hours in an afternoon, and then once we'd finished with Nebworth, we'd get in the car, 5-minute drive, we're over in Stevenage, and we'd just skate there till your legs dropped off. Everyone was doing kickflips and all this little street stuff. I wasn't really into that too much. I was more into ramps and balls, just flying around a ball at speed. That was kind of my kind of skateboarding. I was never really a good skateboarder, but it wasn't really about that. It was just about having good fun times with your friends and getting behind each other if they got a new trick or something, and just having fun. And then, you know, partying on later, and just good times, really good fun. I skated with a lot of different people over the years, but Chogsy, Potty, Hodgie, Chaz, they were my boys then, and they'll always be my boys.
You sound like Fagin.
Sound like Fagin.
Yeah, Barrow Skate Shack. The best memory I have of Barrow Skate Shack is going there, and prior to that, Hodge had a huge death box sticker shaped like a teapot, and he'd stuck it on the bonnet of his car, and we went there, skated for a couple of hours, and when we come out, someone had cut it off with a knife and left a teapot imprint scratched all the way around his bonnet and made off with his sticker. So yeah, that was they were good times.
I bought a cheap 30x10 fully complete skateboard from Windermere, and it had a massive tail skid on and rails and nose bone, and it was flat as a pancake, and it had some gory death skull thing on the bottom, and it was totally crap, but it was brilliant. Me and Palmer grew up together, simple as that. Went to school together, BMXs, skateboarding, holidays, everything, the list goes on. Meeting Kev Butler totally changed our lives. Kev took us to Barrow, and we'd go every Sunday. First of all, skating a ramp in the park, and then there was a homemade thing on Walney, not a very good one. Then there was the better one in Walney, which I got hundreds of splinters in my arse one day, and I had to have one of the guys' mums pick them out for me.
So fucked, I can't believe it, but there's a way I wish we'd see it. How it could work, just can't conceive it, but what I meant was just to leave it.
I'll always be a skater. I don't do much skating. I sometimes get it and go with my little lad down the road, have a tic-tac around, bit of a carve, little ollie, that's it. Knees hurt too much. I'm scared of hurting myself bad.
Sometimes I don't
California, downhill.
Sometimes I think I'll kill you. Just don't let me fuck up, will you? And when I need a friend, it's still you. What I meant.
Once you're a skater, you're always going to have it in you, really. You know, no matter what you get into, when you go out anywhere, on holidays, whatever, you can always spot a skate spot, and you can just see the telltale signs, black lines, wax. You just know somebody skated it, and back in your mind you're thinking, yeah, 20 years ago I'd have been hitting that, you know.
What, when you were 30?
Yeah, no, 30 years ago we'd be hitting that.
Yeah, starting to skateboard in Kendal mid to late 80s. It probably wasn't the greatest place to start skating. Firstly because of the rain, it was just always raining, and also there was no facilities. The council were never going to build anything purpose made for skating, so we just moved into the multi-storey car park and lived there. with skateboarding, it's more about the people you skated with and the places you went. And a lot of people would say, you know, visiting incredible spots like, you know, big skate park, South Sea, places like that. But, you know, for us, skating a curb for 2 hours, you know, was like highlight every week. It was just all about that, really, street. Yeah, generally we could skate in the multi without getting hassled by the man. As long as we behaved ourselves, it was pretty good, yeah. You know, the council did eventually get the finger out and produce some facilities for us, which was basically just a square of tarmac. You bring your own ramps pretty much, which was better suited to biking than it was for skateboarding, so that was a bit of a letdown.
You're going to commit suicide?
Some part of me will always be a skater. You can't go into any city centre and look at a flight of steps the same once you've skated down them, so maybe not to that extent. And, you know, I've got to go to work now, and the old knees and that, but yeah, it'll always be there in my head. I think Hodge and myself were, you know, fairly clear how we want our boards to be set up all nice with all the correct hardware. Whereas Palmer, his board was the right state.
Me, Chaz, Hodge and Chogs all BMX'd. And whilst we were BMXing, I broke my elbow one day, and whilst I was at the hospital, my mum had said, my son's knees hurt, and he said, you can't be doing any sport. So I blagged my mum that actually having a skateboard would be good for my knees, and I could actually go out and hang around with my friends on a skateboard. So that's what I did. We were 14, 15 years old, something like that, and we'd just be skating curbs and our old BMX ramps, and just hanging out on the estate near Hodge lived. And there was that time when Kev came along in the car, and we got to go everywhere we wanted. We could go to ramps, and all these wooden ramps which were near us we could never get to. There was Preston, there was Barrow, there was Bury and places like that, and it was good. It opened our eyes to a lot of skateboarding.
The pride that I own, but what remains is a question I'd like to ask you. As soon as I fit in, who are you gonna bring the bad things to?
Well, a few years had passed, and then he passed our tests, and then we could drive wherever we wanted. And then Kevin told us about all these first generation parks and things, so we went to visit in those and packed up a car and went down to South Sea, Plain Place, Hollywell Bay, places like that, and that was great. Skating those transitions was totally different. It was just smooth and wave-like. It was different than a ramp. Back then, no one really skated. It was an underground scene, and if you saw someone wearing Vans or Converse and you saw them across the street, you knew you could go and have a chat with them about where's to skate, and if you're in a different town or something.
You just got them far away from home. You say I don't belong to you. You want me to shine on my culture, all the things that I've learned. You want the total adaptation, the pride that I earned. But what remains is a question. question I'd like to ask you. As soon as I fit in, who are you gonna bring the bad things to?
I miss the hanging out with your friends. I mean, that just comes with getting older and jobs and responsibility, and just that hanging out and just egging each other on to do tricks. I really miss that, and that's something I always look back on with a lot of fond memories. I'd like to think I could skate just as they did, but I know fine well if I got on a board, there'd be carnage.
What about the others?
Chaz was always shit.
Yeah, when I used to go places, I'd just get in touch. Do you want to go? To the different lads, say, do you want to go? Don't you want to go? One person who'd always say yeah, who'd never say no, was Chaz. He'd always say yeah. He really should have been my girlfriend.
Well, I started as a BMXer. That's how I met Potty and Hodgie. I think I met Hodgie when I was about 12 at a BMX track in Appleby. Then I met Potty, and Chogs' family had just moved to Kendal, and he'd ended up in my class at school, and he had a BMX and he lived up the road from Hodge, so we all started riding together. And I think probably mid to late 80s, skateboarding came back in. We'd missed out on the first wave of skateboarding with the smaller boards, and then when it came back into fashion, all the boards were 30x10 with wide trucks, which were better for doing tricks on, which suited us because we'd just been riding BMXs for years. So we kind of crossed over onto the skateboard scene. Yeah, the Barrow Skate Shack was a proper indoor skate park. It had a spine ramp. We had a couple of mini ramps, really small mini ramp, and a street course. Because it was all undercover, you could go there whatever the weather. So we used to drive through there. It was getting easier as we were getting older. When people started learning to drive, it opened up a whole new world of freedom. We could go wherever we want, whenever we wanted to. Well, not me, because I hadn't learned to drive yet, but Potty and Hodgie did. So me and Potty went off to Livingston Skate Park and stayed overnight in his car. And then me, Potty and Hodge chucked some mattresses in the back of a friend's Bedford's truck and then took off down south to skate some skate parks. Went down to Holywell Bay. I think I broke my toe on the third day at Holywell Bay and had to skate barefoot for the rest of the week. But yeah, just the freedom was amazing that you could just go anywhere, do anything. I went back to Holywell Bay a few years ago, took my board down and took my kids to show them the place, and it had gone. They turned it into a golf course. This is a shame, you know, because I think there's probably a lot of good memories in that concrete.
And what? That run then, Darren? I tried not to think.
You don't get the time now. You don't get the time now. You don't get the time now. You don't get the time
I think we were quite a tight little crew, me, Kev, Potty and Hodgie back in the day. We'd go to gigs together, we played in bands together, and we'd go skating together. Then I moved down south because I had to get a job, and that was the end of it for me. I still go skating, you know, I've got the board in the back of the car just in case, you know, see a little skate park or a ramp or something in a park. But it doesn't feel the same as it used to. I mean, I still enjoy it, but you know, I'm not 16 anymore, and I don't get to go skating with my mates, which, you know, I do miss that.
A quarter of a century has passed since the halcyon days of the road trips, and I find myself in the Lakeland Hills, watching the sunset with Ian after a nostalgic skate session. He came up with the idea for all 5 of us to have a skate together. I knew it's quite hard to get the stars to align on an idea like that. I knew it wouldn't be easy. I couldn't speak for the others, but one thing's for sure, you could count me in. I witnessed the birth of skateboarding, and I also witnessed the press heralding its death. It saddened me to think such a wonderful pastime, sport, art form, whatever you want to call it, could just die so easily. I watched it resurrect itself from the ashes and progress beyond anyone's wildest dreams. We watched all the styles change. We've watched parks come and go, but in our hearts we know skateboarding will be alive when us 5 guys have died. When our 49 fingers are long gone, skateboarding will live on. And that thought doesn't sadden me, it gladdens me.